Radical visibility is a queer and disabled dress reform movement for the full spectrum of gender, size, and ability. It is a celebratory resistance showing off parts of us that society typically shuns. Hi, I'm Cubacub. I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns, but if this is difficult for you, you can just say my name. It's Sky. It's pretty easy. I am human. I am wearing tall platforms. So usually I'd be 5'1.5", but now I have some extra artificial height. I'm Filipinx. I am half white. I'm tan. I have tattoos all over myself. And I am wearing my emotional armor. I have on a headpiece that is pink scale mail. And I'm wearing an outfit that features some of my father's paintings. They are geometric and colorful and celebratory. It's in the shape of a little disco jumpsuit, and it has stuffed shoulders and biceps to make me look like I have like some alien muscles. So what did I just do? I just gave you a verbal description, and this is in order to let blind and visually impaired folks kind of understand what I look like. You can do this too. In just a few short sentences, you can just describe your own appearance. My life's focus is on radical visibility, and at the heart of radical visibility is accessibility. And this accessibility I want to bring into my talk, so conducting it in a way that folks who are non-sighted can still understand what's going on. Up on the screen, I have a picture of me and Alice Wong of the Disability Visibility Project and Nina Lidoff, all kind of wearing very bright, colorful clothing. When I was in high school and grade school, whenever I would get up to speak in front of any kind of crowd of folks, I would always run off crying and having a panic attack. This is because I have lifelong anxiety and panic disorder. But I'm able to stand here speaking to you today because of my emotional armor. When I was in high school, I figured out that if I dressed like a superhero, then I could kind of feel more powerful in my body, and it gave me strength. I see my headpiece as a prosthetic that communicates my inner world to the outer world. And when I was in high school, when I was 16, I was exploring these different kinds of ways of dress. And I was also exploring my gender expression. And the way that most folks explore their gender expression, trans folks and cis folks alike, is a lot through clothing. So when I wanted to find a chest binder, which is a garment that flattens the chest, I couldn't find one that really showed off my identity. There were only ones that were very bland and medicalizing looking. So I decided that I would really love to start making clothing that could show off the intersections of my identity and other folks' identities. When I was in college, I started to fulfill this goal. Here I have my cousin Sophie. Sophie has hereditary sensory neuropathy type 2, which in a nutshell means that she couldn't feel external pain. She was also obsessed with animals, and she was a master at the remote control. She had rewind and stop and basically make manual GIFs. So she was ahead of her time creating what we now know as GIFs. In 2011, I made her a terry cloth scarf that was absorbent to absorb excess saliva. Around the same time, my stomach had stopped working. My anxiety and stress had started to affect my body in a much more physical way, to the point that I lost a lot of weight and I couldn't really eat normally, I guess, for about 4 years, and I'm still affected by it today. It's because of these experiences that I wanted to make this soft armor. But cultural norms say that queer and trans and disabled folks should not be seen. They want us to blend in. They want us to pass. I love this Toni Morrison quote. What intellectual feats had to be performed by the author or his critic to erase me from a society seething with my presence, and what effect has that performance had on the work? Queer and disabled trans folks are everywhere, but you wouldn't know it because of the way that society treats us. Clothing is a direct representation, the clothing industry is a direct representation of who is valued in society. So we mainly see white, thin, able-bodied, heterosexual, and cisgendered folks being represented in fashion and media today. And the options that are for queer, trans, and disabled folks are very medicalizing and pathologizing, which is very dehumanizing and just doesn't make us feel cute. So, but the other part of this erasure is seen in inaccessible spaces. It's seen in having gendered bathrooms. It's seen in how we can post, us as queer and trans and disabled folks can post the same exact thing as a cis heterosexual person, thin person, and have it taken down and have our social media accounts shadow banned. The other part of inaccessible spaces is also sensory overload in spaces. So fake fog, flashing lights, scents are all bad for folks with sensory sensitivities and can cause seizures, headaches, kind of a feeling of being in a brain fog, and actually can kill some people depending on some people's allergies. All of this can kind of create a narrative of the burden and social isolation. But what if we refuse to assimilate? What if we collectively decided to dress in a way that made it so society could not render us invisible? What if we told people that our needs were not extraneous or special, but they are just what we deserve? So I suggest a politically forceful aesthetic style called radical visibility. Radical visibility is all about physical visibility, but also the visibility of tech, or the feelings, radically textured things, or radically unscented things. So I believe that physical visibility is an important step towards social freedom and equality, whether it is in political or personal or media representation. Clothing is your second skin. It makes you feel comfortable in your first skin. It can change the way that you hold yourself. It can change the way that you feel on a daily basis. You know, when you wake up and you're wearing underwear, that really hurts. That is not fun, and it'll ruin your whole day. When I was younger, I couldn't handle any seams in socks, so I called it the bones, and I'd be like, "Mom, the bones are hurting me." When disenfranchised folks take up space, when we take up visual space, when we take up physical space, we are being radically visible. Our radical visibility is important because seeing ourselves represented in the world shows us that our future selves are possible. It's not just this narrative of death and destruction. So it is imperative to our survival that we do take up this space, because it can inspire others to explore their own identities or claim their identities that they might have felt were something that they had to hide. I thank all of the radically visible folks in my life, because I would not be able to dress the way that I do now without seeing them dress the way that they did. And I know that it is not always safe for folks to be radically visible. It can make us targets. So these are some hot tips for creating an environment to encourage people's participation in radical visibility. One of them could be asking people's pronouns. You can tell people your pronouns, even if you're cis, but just never assuming anybody is an identity without confirming with them first. We have to allow for self-identification of everything. Ask people about their access needs. Make this a regular habit when you meet somebody. See that access needs is love, and you want to show that you're caring for everybody around you. So you should ask them their access needs. Make your spaces accessible. Do not think that the ADA is what you should be striving for. The ADA is the baseline. Access is so much more than that. And you can take this accessibility idea and run with it in much more fun ways, as I will show you in a video pretty soon. You should also always list the access features of your event, whether it's accessible or not. List that on your event pages. Have gender-neutral bathrooms. Hire trans and disabled folks in your workplace. And actually listen to them. I'm going to play a video, and it'll show lots of radically visible queers of all sizes, abilities, disabilities, and genders dancing around in a really fun way. We should be striving to create a world that isn't just about our baseline needs. We should be striving to get what we deserve as queer, trans, and disabled folks. Radically visible people, folks with marginalized identities, you should dress in a radically visible way. Thank you.